Once the battle was over, the system notified me that I had defeated the soul guide Metis. After that, I received my reward, including the forest spring water for defeating this boss. I was able to level up twice. However, this boss's magic was quite strong and could control hundreds of summons. I planned to turn him into my shadow soldier, but his mana was contaminated, and for some reason it was impossible to extract his shadow. Shadow extraction doesn't work on demons. As I expected, another fragment of Seth dropped from the skeleton mage. I got the demon Moran's necklace, and as soon as I put it on, my agility increased by 20 points and my intelligence by 20 points. Only one last piece was left to obtain, which meant another boss was waiting for me on the upper floors. After all, I had already collected all the souls I needed and the task was complete. But I had reached my limit and no longer had the strength to continue. I sat down and started to think about what to do next and how to proceed. But suddenly I saw a system notification that I could get the following rewards. The first was an item of my choice, the second was a performance bonus, and the third was a hidden reward. I decided to choose the first reward. Now I faced the choice of any item from the shop. I wondered if I should choose an item valued at billions of gold, which would certainly have amazing abilities. However, I was planning to get gear for my dungeon expeditions and improve every day. If I chose an item that was too expensive, I might end up selling it back to the shop. But I needed to choose what I really needed. After much deliberation, I decided and chose the random cursed box that began to appear in my hands. Now I was very curious to see what I might get. I really needed it after all. I could choose between the random cursed box and the random sacred box. Previously, I had completed the hidden daily quest and understood that the random sacred box gives what the player wants, while the random cursed box gives what the player needs. I had tried twice to complete the daily quest requirements, but never received any additional rewards. I got the key to this demonic castle from the random sacred box, and thanks to that, I was able to level up and get rare items. And of course, I couldn't help but wonder about the contents of that random cursed box, and as soon as the lights turned on, the box disappeared from my hands and a key appeared in its place. I wanted to see the name and type of key, but I realized I had never seen an item without a description before. It became a complete mystery what this key was for and how to use it. I decided to put it in my inventory because someday I would find a use for it. After all, the random cursed box was supposed to give me the item I needed. I decided to take reward number 2 and got an additional 20 performance bonus. After that, I decided to put all my points into intelligence because, with intelligence, I could summon even more shadows, so I could add soldiers to my army. The last was the hidden reward, and I accepted it, although I didn't have much hope for anything after having opened the random cursed box. But suddenly a scroll appeared in my hand that had the recipe for sacred water of life written on it. I could learn the method to make sacred water. At that moment, in the United States, the building where my father and Dong Su were was on fire, and the firefighters were doing their best to put out the fire, which was getting bigger and bigger. An agent said he had heard that when an S-rank hunter battle takes place, the landscape changes and everything around turns into ruins. But if the battle ended with such damage, it means it was overwhelming, and the hunter Dong Su, who was in that building, was knocked out before the damage became too serious. The next day, I decided to visit my mother, who was in the hospital. I entered the room where my mother was and watched her sleep. I sat beside her and thought about that scroll with which I could create the sacred water. I had an idea, but I didn't know if I could carry it out. The description of the sacred water was that it is a mysterious potion that can cure any disease with powerful magic. The effect will manifest only after the entire bottle has been used. I received this item for completing a mission, a potion that can cure any disease. I knew I could save my mother, so I needed to gather 3 items to create the sacred water of life. I obtained a fragment of the world tree after defeating the volcano demon on the 50th floor. I also got the forest spring water after defeating the skeleton mage Metis on the 75th floor, and the last ingredient is the purified blood of the demon king. I hadn't yet found the last ingredient, but it was quite clear to me where it was, on one of the upper floors of the fiery demonic castle, probably the final boss floor. So if I cleared the demonic castle, I could collect all the necessary ingredients for the sacred water of life. While passing through the fiery demonic castle for a week, I leveled up 16 times. Now that I'm around S rank, I have nothing to fear. My mother had to wait a little longer. After all, I was determined to solve this puzzle soon. Later at the Korean Hunters Association, the agents were watching the news about the great commotion in the United States after a mysterious explosion at the American Hunters Bureau. And there were rumors that the incident was caused by an altercation between S-rank hunters. The agents sitting near the TV began talking among themselves that it was the end of the world because hunters were a problem. But the girl sitting next to them started telling the assistant manager that a hunter had arrived, and as soon as that manager turned his head, he saw a guy standing in front of him. He began whispering in the girl's ear that sometimes there are hunters who can't accept the reality of their ranks and think they are being deceived. The girl, after hearing this, wondered if the man was one of those hunters. The assistant manager started whispering that it would be uncomfortable dealing with the hunter, so she should just explain that he had to cover the costs and escort him to the reevaluation room. The girl understood what she had to do, but when the assistant manager heard the name of the hunter who had arrived, he realized it was me. The manager rushed out to make a call. On the other line was the head of the White Tiger Guild. The manager was telling him that the hunter he had inquired about earlier had arrived. The guild leader instantly became serious. The manager said that I had just requested a reevaluation of my rank. The girl, smiling, told me she would take me to the waiting room.